Till now it's never been so complicated. Guess I'll just follow a new trend. Guess I'll just follow a new trend. Guess I'll just follow a new trend. Guess I'll just follow a new trend.
This is the Hammer Down Racing Report. And now your hosts, Scott Hammer, Ron Miller, and Jerry Keyser.
Welcome, race fans, to the Hammer Down Racing Report. Live from the Ron Miller Race Cars Hammer Down Racing Report studio. It's the Hammer Down Racing Report presented by Oakshade Raceway.
Yeah. Where's Jerry Geezer?
He's still on his hiatus,
Oh,
his leave. So hopefully he'll be back in a couple weeks.
Really?
I haven't talked to him in a while, but that's the plan.
Okay.
We'll see.
He knows how to log in if he gets...
Yeah, he's got the login stuff.
Yeah.
Show number 223
Wow.
for Thursday, March 24th, coming at you live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Tonight on the show, we're going into the future. We're going to be talking to somebody who's on Friday already.
You know,
It's Thursday here.
I wonder if he could give us some lottery winning numbers.
That's a good. We'll have to ask him that.
Yeah.
That's a good question. AJ Nylander, one of the founding fathers of late model racing in Australia, plus 60 years of racing experience.
Yeah. He may have me by 1 year, Scott.
Really?
Maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll be talking to him here shortly, all the way live from Australia, as a matter of fact. And we'll also have all our regular features, our racing roundup, and give away some Big D's pizza coming up in a little bit. Chris Mize needs a link. No, apparently he didn't read my message. I'm going to have him on in 2 weeks.
Oh.
Chris Mize, you're 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tonight.
Unless you want to be on tonight.
April 7th. That's when we're going to talk Sandusky Speedway. Got to thank Oakshade Raceway. We're the fastest meet to race racing every Saturday night, starting with the Bill Reckner Memorial on April 30th. 2022 race schedule is out now. You can check it out at oakshaderaceway.com. And also, don't forget to check out Dominator Race Products at dominatorraceproducts.com. They've got hood scoops, nose and tail, and other body panels, wheel covers, all kinds of parts for dirt late models.
Rocker panels, rock guards.
There's a lot of stuff.
Roofs.
There's more than I could put in the little mention here, but yeah.
Yeah, we could go on.
We could. DominatorRaceProducts.com or give them a call, 419-923-6970. And available at reputable dealers. That was the word I was looking for last week. Reputable dealers across the USA. Like Ron Miller.
Is that us?
That's probably you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. Also, thanks to Big D's Pizza, Ron Miller Race Cars, Freeze Frame Photos, and Headhunters Barber Studio and Salon in Perrysburg for sponsoring the show. Bring Chris Mize is, oh crap, okay. Let's bring in our guest now, who's patiently waiting and got up early because, again, it is in the future in Australia right now, Friday morning.
It's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow already.
Unless you're one of our Australian listeners, in which case
it's today.
Yeah. It could be 9 o'clock in the morning.
How's it going, AJ Nylander?
Good morning, or good evening to Scott and Ron. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, AJ.
Ron wants to know if you can give us some lottery numbers so that we could...
Not a fan. I'm not much of a winner over here. We never seem to pick anything up.
Gotcha. Now, from what I've read and everything, and from what I've been told, you are one of the grandfathers of late model racing in Australia, and I don't know if Ron or Roddy Schroyer had anything to do with that, but why kind of give us a little bit of history of how you got the American dirt late models down there in Australia.
Well, originally we bought Donnie Moran out in the 70s and Ray Godsey. I visited America and saw the product was so damn good. I thought we should introduce it to this country. And along with Chris Carty, Benny Ludlow, Simon McNabb, Rob Whittington, and a bunch of other good people, we decided to set up late models in WA. It was pretty rocky to start with. I built 4 cars to kick off with. We weren't particularly good. We ran the cars around in the country to get the product better. And eventually we decided to run at Claremont Speedway, thanks to Conmigro. But it was pretty average to start with. And year by year, we got the product to where it is today. And a lot of that's to do with Ron and the Schroers coming over, because we had no way to measure our product until we had them as a benchmark. And it turns out the cars we were building were pretty competitive with Brad Blake and the Ludlows and the like. And it was a great step forward.
I've got to tell you, Scott, there were some cars, I guess to our Australian friends' credit, they read the U.S. rule book and thought they had a handle on what our cars should be. And there were some cars that were definitely different.
Was this like the UMP rule book then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And but at that point, they were running super sedans, and the super sedans are kind of like a late model, except they sit on the right side of the car instead of the left. But they run ginormous amounts of stagger, pretty much like what the sprint cars run here. And they couldn't possibly imagine running 3 or 3.5 inches of stagger across the back of the car. So they were trying to run our style late models with 7, 8, 9 inches of stagger. And there were, again, I said there were some diverse cars. There was a car that had airbag suspension, air ride.
Is that legal?
I guess it would be. There's nothing in, I don't think, AJ, I don't think there's anything in the current rule book that says you can't.
No, at the time, Ivor Ladwick ran airbags, and I remember trying to get past him at Claremont, and you had to deal with him very quickly, otherwise he'd bounce all over the place. And I went around the outside of Ivor at Claremont and clobbered the gate into the main straight and consequently rolled over. That was a big deal.
Hey, if you're going to do it, at least be spectacular, AJ.
One of my major sponsors years ago, Titan Ford, said, if you can't win, be spectacular. That was a hell of a ride.
So when was, I guess, like the first actual late model race in Australia with American style late models?
Well, it would be in the 70s. Ron would have a better handle on the date, but it might have been the 80s, I'm not sure. But Simon McNabb organised that to his credit. And it was very significant in our development because we had some top-class competitors, and it lifted our game and gave us some direction.
We were, Scott, our tour was their summer, our winter of 99, 2000. And there had been, as AJ said, there were Americans that had gone over prior to that, but it was more, they were there to put on a show rather than to educate. And when we went over there, our mission was to get them on the same page as we were, and we had no idea what we were getting into. But there were some really top-shelf American racers that went over and raced both on the East Coast and West Coast of Australia. AJ being on the West Coast, just quick geography lesson. Australia is about as broad as the United States, but it's really populated within about 50 miles of the ocean, and it's really like a great big island, even though it's a continent. But to go,
it's a big island.
to go from the East Coast to the West Coast,
that's a haul.
Would be like going from New York to L.A.
Are there any gas stations in the middle of Australia?
Not many.
Plan ahead.
And they're damn expensive. $3 a litre for diesel out there.
That's a quart.
Oh, so that's
figure that out.
That's
about $12.
$12. Yeah, that's a lot. So are late models now today? Is it like a weekly kind of thing at a local track, or is there like a group of late models that kind of tours around to different tracks each week?
We primarily run at the Motorplex, probably on a fortnightly basis, but we have other tracks in the country. In fact, we've got 24 racetracks in the state. So we run in Albany, Bunbury, Collie, Kalgoorlie, which is 3 or 4 hour drive east of here. There's a lot of tracks we can run at, but due to the logistics and the distance, we don't always run there. I would like to see more country tracks. That's where we started. We hone the product at those tracks, and I'm keen to reward those people that supported us in the first place. But we seem to have dropped off a little bit there.
Explain a little bit about the Motorplex, the track in Perth.
Yeah, well, it's a great facility. I would suggest it's one of the best in the world. I rated it probably with Eldora or Knoxville, probably not quite as good as Knoxville, but fabulous government-funded circuit. It's black clay, which is very difficult to get hold of at times, but a great facility, and we've got wonderful race cars. We field probably 22 cars nowadays, and they are world-class, absolutely. David's been struggling, one of my boys been struggling to get a win. We've nearly opened the door there, but we can't quite get it. But my oldest son looked at the lap times, and between the top 10 cars, there's probably about a second a lap difference from the quickest to the slowest. So it's extremely competitive over here. It's a tough deal.
Watching the videos of this year's events, Alan, it could be any racetrack in here in the States. You guys have really put on just some great shows, and they're very competitive, and the cars are virtually identical to anything you'd see here in the States. And I don't think there's a car in Australia that was built there, was there? I believe they're all brought in from the States.
No, Cardis still build their own car, which is a beautiful, beautiful product. And they are very competitive. Jay's very competitive when he's in the right frame of mind, as good as any of the American cars. I stopped building cars 5 years ago because there's a mindset you have to have an American car to be competitive. I don't quite agree with that, but to build a car takes you 3 months, and really wasn't viable. So we've got 2 XR1 rockets, 2 Masters builts, and that's the way we go.
Now, were the cars you built, were they competitive?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've still got my last car I built, which I guess based on a Rayburn to a large degree, swing arm. Still very competitive. It's probably more midfield car. And I think with the right setup and the right driver, you can certainly win races at the top level with that car.
AJ, Chris Mize works one of the local racetracks. He's race director? I don't know.
I think that's his title.
One of our regular listeners too. He wants to know how the pandemic affected racing in Australia.
Well, it actually kicked us along. Unbelievable crowds during the pandemic. We could not bring imports. Jeff Roth wanted to come back, and they were fabulous. Just great PR people, and Joe Godsey, of course. And they couldn't come back. The Eastern States drivers could not come over because you had to isolate for 14 days. So in that respect, we couldn't have any imports, which hurt our Wild West series. Hopefully that's on again this year. I think Jeff might be coming back, and quite a few other top-line American drivers. So we'll be kicking that off in January. But funny thing, the crowds during the pandemic were sensational.
I kind of noticed after last year, 2020 crowds were either not allowed or real small. But then last year, it seemed like the people that didn't get out to the tracks were there, and the crowds are pretty decent.
Scott,
last
I don't
year.
know if you caught that. He said that they couldn't travel from one side of the country
Yeah.
to the other without quarantining for 2 full weeks at an enormous expense, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. If you have to quarantine, unfortunately, you had to do it in a hotel or a motel at your expense. And I'd hate to say what that cost. So that really deterred a lot of people, particularly from the East Coast. Russ
Sure.
McCaskey and Russell Bailey and Des Disney looked like coming over, but it wasn't viable. Not only the 3,000, well, more than that, but the distance, the tyranny of distance and the cost, but the quarantine put an end to all that.
Yeah.
Now you've had quite a racing career. What, 60 years? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of racing. That's more than I've been alive, but that's awesome.
Oh, thanks, mate.
You're the first winner of the Western Australia late model title with the Western Australia Saloon Car champion in 75, 76, and the Grand National champion in 85 and 86. So you've done some things over the years.
Yeah, I never considered myself a racer. We had drivers in the car and my cars over the years, and I wasn't that comfortable with them, so I'd jump in and go pretty good. We won 7 races in a row at the Claremont, and the prior driver couldn't hit his ass with the car, so I must have been half decent. But we started in hot rods many years ago. When I was 15, I had to get the car flat towed to a track, Wattle Grove and Forestfield. So I just love the sport, and the people in there have been absolutely fantastic. It's been a great journey.
Scott, imagine racing sitting on the right side of the car and going the same way around the track as we do.
Counterclockwise.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah, that was pretty scary
You get a
stuff.
good
Hit
good
the
view of the
fence.
wall, right?
You're in a bit of trouble. In fact, we lost Grenville Anderson, who was one of our premier super sedan drivers years ago at Archerfield. For that very reason, the roll cage hit the fence and took him out. But it was a sensational. The cars would roll over to the right, and you're sitting right next to the wall. I much prefer the left-hand drive cars.
we had a couple of racers back when Millstream was running that came over from Australia and had some issues sitting on the left side of the car. Used up a lot of the right side.
Yeah, did that take an adjustment for you to go move over
not
to the
really.
left side?
Not really. If you think about it, it's a problem. But when you're in the race car, I don't believe it's a problem whatsoever. You don't seem to take that on board. It's one of those things. If you start overthinking the thing, it could be a problem. But when you drive the cars, none whatsoever.
I know you drive by the seat of by the feel. You drive with your butt is basically how it is. Does it feel any different from your butt from sitting on the right side to the left side?
A little bit. The super sedans run on very big tyres, which we're used to in the late models, and they bounce around a fair bit. But one of the problems a lot of new drivers have with a late model is the amount of rear steer the cars get, and the fact that you sit well back in the car, and you think you're a lot more sideways than you actually are. And a lot of the guys just get into the corner, think they're too sideways and get out of it. But in fact, the cars stick very well. And the harder you drive them, the better they feel.
Now, were there any drivers that you looked up to earlier in your career?
In this country?
Yeah, in either country, any country.
Of course, there's so many, I can't remember, but
Anyone in
Brad
particular that stands out?
Brad Volkswagen was one. Brad Blake, who drove for us, won, I think, 6 Aussie titles plus numerous WA titles. Kid's a freak. Currently, we have Kai Blight, who's coming to America and doing the World of Outlaws with Paul Stubber.
Yeah, that's breaking news, Scott.
Oh, I'm
He's
sorry.
he's a freak. He's one of those guys I think could do very well in America, and that's a tough gig over there. There's young Joe Chalmers, I believe, a champion go-kart driver, a youngster, great kid, and he's coming on very strong. Brent Vosbergen's been totally dominant this season. No one seems to get near him, but we're working with it.
And
And
amazingly, AJ, most of those racers have raced with us at Oakshade Raceway.
yeah, well, I think you had Kevin Bell over in the early days as well. And,
Oh, we did.
he struggled pretty badly, I believe. But Kevin's racing super sedans now. Hell of a nice guy. Yeah.
Now, you've raced in the U.S.?
I haven't personally.
No?
We had a tie-up with the Morans because we bought Donnie over many years ago, and Ronnie Moran looked after us, Heather and myself, when we were over there. Went to his track. Never actually raced over there. I probably should have, I suppose. Nearly moved to America because Ronnie Moran offered me a job building cars with Donnie back in the old days, and nearly packed up and went there. Didn't quite get there because the babies were on their way, and I didn't want to miss out on the family involvement over here.
Have you been following Donnie's son, Devin Moran? He's been having quite a bit of success.
Devon's been over, of course,
Okay.
with Steve Francis and a bunch of others. Devon's a great kid, absolutely fabulous, and wish him all the best. He's very successful at the moment. Always knew he would be. He's from the right stock, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Of the Yanks that came over back, let's say in the 70s and early 80s, who did you look up to then?
Well, we had a lot of drivers come over.
Yeah, I know that.
Ed Wilbur and Charlie Swartz, and they were heydays. They were in very early days, and
Hewitt.
and the Schroyers were absolutely great ambassadors for the sport. They're fantastic. Steve Francis taught us a lot. That's where we got where we're going today. I've got to say that without the Americans' input coming over here, I don't think we'd be at the level we are today, which is world class.
Now, do you see late models in Australia? Do you see that as a growing class going into the future, or at least being stable?
Very strong in WA. New South Wales is strong. The South Australian are in trouble. I really don't know what's going on there. We've reached out to try to get a better situation as far as blue ribbon events, not dates clashing. Victoria's not particularly strong. Queensland is not strong. There's two very strong states, New South Wales and WA. WA is going from strength to strength, and I think a lot to do with that is the fact that we do run a CD525 crate motor, which runs on just unleaded petrol, and it's been very affordable for a lot of people. And currently, I think we've got 10 CT525s over here, which we run in the open class, but for a separate point score. That's been highly successful.
Veronica McCann has really come on this year. Isn't she running one of the 525 engines?
She certainly is. She's very, very strong. And she bought a car off Pearson's, a Rocket, recently. Took her a little bit of time to get her head around the car, but she's doing a great job. She's extremely competitive, and she's running in the top 3 or 5 cars every week and doing a great job.
Now, we talked a little bit about the pandemic and how that affected things a little bit ago. I know a big concern here in the States going into our race season is just trying to get underway here, but tires are a big concern, I guess, for many racers. How is the tire situation down in Australia?
No, it's been dire. We bought 30 tyres up prior to the start of the season. I got wind that there was going to be a problem, and that's pretty much got us through. But there's been bits and pieces coming over. It's been a problem, but I think the boys have handled it pretty well, and the supply's picking up now. I don't think that's an issue, but a lot of the components, engine parts and chassis parts, have been a real headache because they're not producing them in numbers in America, and the wait time on, say, a set of pistons from JE now is blown out from about 4 to 5 weeks to 12 to 14 weeks. It's a massive problem. And the cost's gone through the roof, probably 30% higher than what they were. And you've got to remember our dollar is pretty weak. It's not worth a lot. And when you multiply that with the import duty and sales tax, a dollar over there is probably going to cost us 3 here.
Speaking of costs, what's your feelings on tracks and how much they pay for you guys running? Because the cost of racing has definitely skyrocketed over the past few years. Are the purses keeping up?
Absolutely terrible. They've gone nowhere in 30 years. In fact, I have a logbook I kept in the 70s, and you'd be embarrassed today what we're getting. I had a chat with Gavin Migro about this, and my big concern going forward, the cost of running a late model is probably at the top level $2,500 a night over here, and we probably run for $1,000 to win. And I said to Gavin, I believe in 5 years it's going to affect numbers very badly, and we should be looking at bringing external sponsors along with his prize money pool into the sport. Otherwise, I think there's going to be diminishing returns. I see a fairly bleak future in years to come because of the sheer cost of running these cars today. In the old days, you could cobble something together with a 355 and win a race. Today, we're running billet, all aluminium engines. The rebuilds are probably $16,000 a season, plus your tyre cost. It's serious, serious money today. And I don't think it can keep this up for long term. I may be wrong, but I've been pretty right about most things we've done. I think you'll find within 5 or 10 years, you'll be down to maybe 10, 12 cars unless this prize money is addressed.
Or the expense of racing.
One or the other. It's a pretty hard one. I would like to see a control tyre, a non-groove tyre brought in. We do have a minimum of a 1300 tyre now in Hersia, but I'd like to see no grooving of tyres, control shocks. I'm not sure you can control the engines, and the open engines, by and large, have been very, very reliable. David's engine has done 1,000 laps since it was rebuilt by Jeff Kendrick, and it's just due for a rebuild now, but that's pretty impressive. That's nearly 500 mile on a late model engine, so that's not a concern. I believe maybe an LS engine at 427 with GM bits in it might be the answer as far as having enough power. I think the CT525 is just a little bit short power-wise on our big tracks, and unless you're Warren Oldfield or a magician, you're not going to win with a CT525. You'll run places, but
Right.
you're not going to win a race.
Now you mentioned sponsorships to help with the purses. Is there anything else you feel that the tracks could do to try and bring those purses up?
Oh, it certainly can. I can't understand why they can't do that. They have enormous crowds, and I believe if they ran their business more efficiently with less overheads from a business perspective, I've been in business for a long time, there's no reason they cannot pay more prize money. And I think they really have to look at that situation, because the two shows that hold the show together at the Motorplex, the two divisions, are late models and sprint cars. Now that we know, it was told to me by the promoter. Now I think it's time for the look after late models a little better. The sprint cars are getting pretty decent money, but late models, in fact, our nomination we pays for our prize money pool for the night, and I think that's pretty miserable.
Now, are there more sprint cars there or late models? What
Well,
do you got more
there's
of?
more late models. There's more late models in the A grade. They mix sprint cars up. They'll run 320s, 360s in with the sprint cars to get the numbers. But most nights we field more late models than A grade sprint cars. And the quality of late models is very impressive by world standards. You could run one of our late models, of Osborne car, our car, Stubber's car in America, and it's top notch. It's absolutely top of the wazoo.
AJ, what about we were talking about engines and longevity? How has your government mandating unleaded fuel straight across the board affected the engine life?
Been a problem. Got to be honest, some of the fuel blends that have come over here have been toxic, caused a lot of problems, and a lot of the open engines will not run properly without decompressing them on unleaded fuel. The unleaded fuel we're getting here is questionable in my opinion, and I might say it's up to $2,500 a drum. So we run methanol. We have no issues with methanol. The only problem you've got is if you do a 100 lapper, you can't carry enough fuel. But most guys, a lot of guys in open engines have swapped back to methanol and cannot run the new blend of unleaded fuel. I think they're getting it sorted, but it's been a headache, Ron.
That's pretty frightening, especially given our government's propensity for trying to curtail motorsports in general. They could backdoor us by bringing in.
Don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas.
They've got them.
What kind of octane do you guys run for the unleaded?
Octane. I think it's about 110, but it just, I don't think they've got it quite right. Base Fuel are working very hard on it, and the other major manufacturer fuel companies are working very hard, but I do believe some of the early blends, I think they just added ethanol and a few other components to it. So, yeah, it wasn't too successful unless you run a lower compression ratio. Probably you could run that fuel on 12-to-1 compression ratio. Any more than that, I think you're in dangerous territory.
Sure.
Now, your sons, they're involved in racing now?
Oh, absolutely. We have Craig, who's the team manager. I've stepped back. I'm too old and too old-fashioned, I reckon. But anyway, that's their point of view. I've reluctantly stepped back a little bit. Craig does a wonderful job. We have Matty, who runs one of the rockets. He's been super fast, bit of a Scud missile at times, but he will get there. David's been very, very consistent, runs in the top 5 pretty much every night. Haven't knocked over a win yet, but very, very close. We run two cars, plus I look after a number of other cars for other people, so I'm kept pretty busy all the time, but they run a beautiful operation. If you look at Nylander Motorsport, we do have some 60-year T-shirts and hoodies available, so if you want to get onto that site, we can...
Oh, here we go.
There they are.
So David mentioned that. I've got to mention that, but David's a whiz with the promotional side. He does an enormous amount of work there. We get a bit of criticism from some of the other drivers. They think we're Hollywood racers, but social media is the way of the future. And I told the boys to start with, you've got to go there because normal newspapers and TV, we get no coverage. So there's a great opportunity to get on social media and push it like hell. For your sponsors. We are very well sponsored. David, Alls Transport and Holdfast and a lot of other companies on David's race car. So that does help us, and they're very, very happy with the coverage they're getting through social media.
So what? Now, you said you stepped back a little here. What is your role within the family racing?
Well, Heather and I bought David's car. That's a start, and I do help, but it all turns to shit. They come and see me, but that's the way it is. It's probably always been that way, I suppose, with the older guys. When all else fails, just go and get Dad. He'll sort it. But
I like that.
I've got to admit, the cars are very technical. I haven't kept up with shock technology. Brett Vosbergen does all our Genesis shocks and does a wonderful, wonderful job. I suppose if I got my head around it, I'd be there, but not interested in that side of things. It's tough work keeping a Rocket XR1 consistent on our motor speedway down here is a big ask because it varies so much from the start of the night to the end of the night. You've got to be on your toes to keep that car right, and the boys are doing a very, very good job in that respect.
Are they in any points championships competing in that? I know you said earlier your season's kind of winding down there, only a few more weeks left.
Well, Matty wouldn't have his COVID needle, so he's retired for the rest of his life until he gets a needle. I won't go there. I've said my piece on that one. That's one of the twins. And David only runs occasionally. He has a very responsible job. He's in charge of probably 30 people, motivating them with a building company, has a young family, so he runs when he can. And I think he does a good job for the number of times he runs. And I would like to see him run all the time, quite frankly. And I think Matthew, if he gets his head right and has his jabs, will be running every race next year because he has the finances to do it. We have the equipment to do it and the backing. That's my hope for next year. We have young Isabella Nylander, Matty's girl, coming through in a junior car, a little Corolla. She's starting next week, actually. And
right.
So that's third generation. So we'll be around for a while, I think.
How long till she gets in a late model?
Well, she's suggested she's going to run one of my older Masters builds. She's already told me that.
Oh, boy.
She wants to do it right now. So
Winter series, here we come.
I think she could be stepping into one. And to be honest, she's 16 nearly. I see no reason why kids cannot jump into a late model, particularly some of the older cars, which are a little softer to drive. I can't see any reason why kids can't jump straight into a late model and be very successful. That's my point of view.
Do you think
Rusty Schlink's son is Carter?
Yeah, he's a sportsman, basically a late model. But.
Right, and he's what, 11, 12?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Do you find that maybe bad habits are learned if you're, start off in maybe front wheel drives or some other vehicles before you get up to the late models that you kind of have to unlearn by the time you get into a late model?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of junior drivers going into late models that there used to be, but we're running a rear-wheel drive Toyota Corolla. So we put her in that because I think it's probably a better foundation than running a front-wheel drive car. I would agree. They're very different. And I think the sheer costs of late models today are deterring a lot of the juniors from stepping into that division. And this is one of my concerns going forward. The sheer cost of running a late model in this country is pretty prohibitive.
Yeah, not just there. Here too. Ron can attest, right?
Yeah. Scott, the cost of just getting to the track this year is going to scare racers away.
Well, at
And
least you don't have to drive across to Australia.
Yeah, but I don't know what we're going to do about that.
Stay close to home,
Ron,
I guess.
I'm worried. We're going to Albany at Easter with 2 cars, and that's 400 kilometres. But to take our truck down there at $2.50 a litre for diesel is pretty significant. So I would like to go to the East Coast for the national title at Warrnambool next year. But I've got to say the sheer cost of fuel alone just might stop us. It's a problem going forward.
Well, hopefully things turn around on that front with the
I
fuel.
don't think they will. I've got to say, I think you're going to see $2 a litre in this country for quite a number of years for a lot of reasons. The problem in Russia, and generally speaking, groceries and major goods in this state due to floods on the East Coast and a lot of other factors have skyrocketed by probably 30 to 40%.
Oh, yeah.
Racing components have gone up through the roof. Availability of a lot of bits and pieces is a problem.
Yeah,
It's
we
gotta
deal
be-
with that every day.
What was that?
I say we deal with those prices and availability issues every day.
Yeah.
Australia is certainly not unique in that case.
We just need to all get along.
Don't know what the hell we're going to do, but it's something that's got to be factored in. And the only thing I can see is 2 things. There's got to be more prize money, and there's got to be you've got to be able to run the cars a little cheaper somehow. I mean, that's just not rocket science.
Electric haulers.
Yeah, there we go.
When's the last time you've been in a race car?
Probably a couple of years ago. I'm just a social racer now. I still am fit enough. I'm 75 and everything's still there. But the will to win ain't there anymore. And I just go out and have a skid around in the winter, have a great time. But unfortunately, it is too hard to compete with these young bucks. And I don't want to, quite honestly. It's too hard on the body, too hard on the mind. And I don't want to be there, but I've had a great career. I've been pretty successful, so I'm pretty content. So I do love to jump in a late model and just feel the engine, feel the car. There's nothing better, in my opinion.
Go for a ride.
So,
That's about all I do.
so no chance that you'll be jumping in a late model on a random night to compete with anybody.
Not a chance in the world. I've got to be honest, the new late models are bloody hard work. A rocket, you've got to drive it like you stole it. They're very edgy cars, and too much effort for me.
Well, Ron will be happy to hear that because I think he said you got about a year on him in racing, and I think he wants to eclipse that.
Ron's remarkable. I don't know how he does it.
Just too dumb to quit.
Yeah, no, it's been a great ride. I've had so many good people we've been tied up with, and the group of late model drivers and club members are fantastic. They're just a great bunch of people. I'm very proud to be where we are today. From where we started was pretty humble, and it's a strong
division in WA. Any chance you'll be coming to the States this summer, our summer?
Love to. Well, maybe not this year, but certainly the year after, all things being equal.
There's a bedroom always available.
Oh, you've got so many bloody dogs and things nowadays.
Two dogs.
But anyway, Oakshade I love. I think they need to revamp some of the stands and the stalls a bit, but we have a great time. And Ron is just such a great host. And we've met so many other good people, the Morans over there, and a bunch of Jeff Roth and company. He's just a lovely gentleman. He's from Arkansas, and Joe Godsey and Ray Godsey, and it goes on and on and on. When I go to America, it's just like here. I feel very comfortable in the Midwest, not in the big cities, but I love jumping out of that aeroplane in Michigan, I feel right at home, and Ron picks us up. It's just a wonderful experience.
He's like the official Australian racer ambassador for the United States.
Yeah, we just love it there. I just can't wait to get back. And you learn such a lot over there. I mean, when I don't know what it is, but when you go and watch racing and look at the level it's at and stick your nose under some of the cars, things you learn that you can't learn here in a long time. So it's very beneficial for us to go over there and or get with it, to be honest with you.
Have your boys raced in the States yet?
No, I want them to. I'd love to get. Matty's probably the one that could do it. David, with his circumstances, family and business commitments, would be difficult. I think Matty would be open to that. And I'd love to get him to do a few laps around Oakshade or Donny's track just to experience. He did a few laps around Oakshade, David and Matty, years ago, a Kai Harper's car, and thoroughly enjoyed that. But yeah, we'd love to get one of the boys over there for probably a month or two.
I think that'd be fun. We'd like to see that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned your T-shirts. I believe I found your Facebook page
you've got
here.
that up. Yeah, that's good. 60 years of speed. It's got a lot of the old cars in there, and
then
it's on Nylander Motorsport. Probably all the details will be there.
Gotcha.
You've still got my address, so if one of those shirts showed up, I'd be pretty pleased. Size large.
The poster's a bit of a problem, Ron. Could take 6 months to get there. We might organise one of those. Do you want a hoodie or a T-shirt?
Just a T-shirt.
I'll take the hoodie. If
Okay,
you're shipping it.
See what we can do for you guys. What size, Scott?
I'm a large as well.
Large?
Just large. There you go. There's the NylanderMotorsport.com, and that's where you can order the shirts from.
That's the one. There's some of our sponsors you just looked at there, but tremendous show over here. We're so proud of late models. It's just been great to where we've ended up. It's just fantastic.
Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you let you go here?
Well, so many people I wouldn't like to start, but we've had so many good people over the years that have helped us. I don't think I'd start now mentioning anybody, but one of the things I have enjoyed is having our American friends over in respect to just having a good time and being great people. There's been no arseholes that come over, and they've been really, really hospitable and great ambassadors for American sport. We've got a bunch of sponsors. We've got Holdfast, we've got Alls, we've got Castrol. I'm just reading it off here. Realty Lane, CTM Recruitment, Oldfield Settlements, Racing. There's Land Surveys. There's some of our sponsors that help the program, and they're getting very good value out of social media. That's why we push it very hard. And a program like this, they'd appreciate it. They'll watch it and get a lot of value for their business out of it. And that's what it's all about. If they don't get any value, they're not going to be back next year.
That's right.
Yep. It's a win-win.
Kept our sponsors and grown our sponsors over the last 4 years. So they must be pretty happy with what we're doing.
And that's a cool thing about race fans is they're pretty loyal.
Brand loyal.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we wouldn't have this show if it wasn't for sponsors.
In fact, our major sponsor, Holdfast, he gets better value out of us than the sponsorship for the football team a major football team that he sponsors. So he's very on board. He gets a lot of value out of it.
That was football. down there? Is that like soccer here, or is it?
It's
Like
Aussie rules football.
Rugby?
Yeah.
You need to do a Google search.
I'm gonna
on
have
that.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's different than anything I would.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Never mind.
It's huge over here. You can't get a word in. It's football, football, football. It's pretty depressing, really, because you've got no way of getting onto the news or getting any coverage from motorsport in general. I'm talking about road racing as well as dirt track. It's non-existent. There's such a bias towards football, and you can't seem to break that mold. So we've went to social media to give our sponsors some value, and it's working very well.
I think that's where it's at. A lot of streaming networks have popped up here in the States for covering local races.
Yeah, in fact, we had an interview with one of the TV presenters recently. We happened to get a little bit of a spot on the TV news, and I mentioned it to the reporter. I said, I think it's diabolical that motorsport doesn't get any coverage, and he agreed. But he said, you can't break the culture at the top. And I said, I believe mainstream newspapers and TVs are in a bit of trouble unless they pick their socks up, because social media is jumping forward at a great speed. And he actually agreed with that.
Nice. I agree with it too.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an honor, and we appreciate the time, and we appreciate you getting up early in the morning down there tomorrow morning already.
We're always up early, so that ain't a problem, but it's been an honour to talk to Scott and Ron, and hope he keeps racing for a few more years.
Yeah. Pretty
I want
sure
to come and see him.
Pretty sure that'll happen.
AJ, you got some racing plans for this weekend with the kids?
No, not this weekend.
Okay.
Our next meeting will be at Albany, a 2-day show. That's 400 k's south of
That's
Perth.
right.
That's a huge 2-day show. Brings a big crowd. Everywhere the late models go in regional areas, we bring the crowd. They absolutely love us, and it's a real gutsy little track. It's always prepared well. Good prize money for two nights. It's a key event for us, and Kalgoorlie is too. They're regional tracks, and we really look forward to running there.
What are the track sizes in Australia? Are they comparable to here?
Yeah, they
Most
really
of them
are.
are like 3/8 of a mile, maybe a half mile.
Yeah, pretty much. We don't have any half mile, but they're probably
Smaller.
3/8.
Kwinana's about the biggest track, isn't it?
Yeah, by a mile. Yeah, it's quite big. The others are a little smaller, but the Albany racetrack is a ballsy little track. It's just hammer down, and it's enormously good to watch. It's just fantastic. The late models run around there at enormous speed and spectacle. Kalgoorlie is the same. That's a gold mining area up there. Got a lot of money up there, and they're paying good money for us to go there. So we'll be there probably a couple of weeks after Easter. Great show, great crowd. And they really appreciate the late models when they run there. They're just so appreciative of the cars going up there and the spectacle we put on. And one of the sponsors at Kalgoorlie said to me he'd never seen a race car run around that track as fast as a late model. And he says, I'll be there next year with more money for sponsorship. So that's the sort of reception we get at those tracks.
I got one last question for you before we let you go here. If next time you come to the States, if someone lets you borrow a late model, would you get in a late model and have a match race with the professor, Ron Miller, here?
I'd have to think about that.
Heather,
He'd probably blow me into the weeds. Yeah.
did I hear Heather chuckling in the background?
She's laughing. She's a bit younger than I am. I've got a young wife who keeps me pretty active. She's 10 years younger than me. She's been a great support for the team. She's just gorgeous woman. She'd let me race, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll try and make that happen.
As long as I've got the best car, it's got to be a better car than Ron's.
Oh, here we go. Stacking the deck already, Alan.
I'm saying nothing. Saying
That'd
nothing.
be good fun. Yeah, I'd have a crack. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, AJ, we appreciate it, and you take care of yourself down there. And thanks for we saw the kangaroo earlier before we came on. That was pretty cool. Right out the window.
Kangaroo's gone now.
Oh,
We usually get up to 4 kangaroos. They eat the oats we put out there. It's absolutely beautiful. The birds come down. We've got a rural property about 40 k's from Perth, but it's just beautiful. Yeah, good.
that's awesome. I gotta get to Australia sometime. I'm jealous of you guys.
You're most welcome. We've got a bed for you, Scott.
All right. I appreciate it. I just don't want to get beat up by a kangaroo. I've seen the fights with them.
Don't listen to what they tell you about them. The only problem are the males in mating season. They might have a crack at you, but I haven't seen it. Yeah.
I'm going to have nightmares now. Thanks.
AJ, Heather, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and it's been a great show. Thank you.
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Always good to chat with you guys.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye. Thank you for that.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
There you go. AJ Nylander, live from Australia.
And his
Friday
lovely
morning.
wife, Heather.
And his lovely wife, Heather, yes.
Yeah.
Say that 10 times fast. Coming up, we have how many? Your chance to win a Big D's Pizza. We'll have announce our winner from last week as well. Actually, we're going to have to spin the Big D's Pizza wheel for that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Because everybody won.
Well, not everybody. Some people pick different numbers for some reason. I don't know why. We'll talk more about that. First Year Racing Roundup, Attica Raceway Park was supposed to be in action last week, and yeah,
They weren't.
They weren't. They were also supposed to be in action this week. Breaking news. They canceled this weekend as well. Earlier today, they announced that. So
Right.
So they're going to try again on April 1st, and we'll talk more about that.
And if you missed it last week, the spring cavalcade at Sandusky.
Freddie Bender deal, yeah.
Yep.
It's been canceled. That was supposed to be the 9th and 10th, I believe.
April, right.
Of April, yeah. But we will tell you what racing is coming up here in just a little bit. The World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars were in California. Actually, they still are in California. On Friday night, I renamed Merced Speedway to Speedway to Merced Speedway.
Merced.
So we're going with Merced now.
No, we're...
I'm going to rename Carson Macedo then. Carson Macedo. Macedo? I don't know how to rename. Carson Macedo won Friday night at Merced Speedway in California.
Thank you.
Ocean Speedway was supposed to be Saturday night. That was rained out. So even California gets some bad weather sometimes. Next up for the World of Outlaws, tomorrow night they're going to be at Bakersfield Speedway. And Saturday it's going to be Paris Auto Speedway. And then Tuesday they're going to move out of California, head east east a little bit to. If you
it's hard
west,
to go
you'll be in the water.
California, yeah.
They'll be at Vado Speedway on Tuesday, the 29th in New Mexico. So 3 races coming up for the World of Outlaws. Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series was canceled due to rain on Saturday at Brownstown. Atomic was moved from Friday to Sunday. They did actually run Sunday at Atomic, and they wrapped things up pretty early. I saw that the time was posted as like 8:23 p.m. They were done with the feature.
Wow.
And Jimmy Owens picking up the win there. Next up for the Lucas Oil Series is going to be Friday, the 8th of April at Tyler County Speedway in West Virginia for the Hillbilly 100. Then Saturday, it's to Hagerstown Speedway in Maryland and Port Royal on Sunday, the 10th. So a three-day weekend there coming up in a couple weeks. A few weeks, actually. 8th, 9th, and 10th of April. NTT IndyCar Series was in action at Texas Motor Speedway. Joseph Newgarden won the XPEL 375. Close finish with Scott McLaughlin. I guess it was a pretty exciting race. I didn't see any of that, did you?
No, I didn't.
No. Next up for IndyCar is the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. That'll be on Sunday, April 10th. That'll be at 3 o'clock on NBC. NASCAR action. William Byron won the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. What did you think? Did you see any of that?
I
race?
did.
I didn't watch the trucks or the Xfinity series, but I did watch the
I
Cup
watched
series.
a little bit of the Xfinity race.
Were they similar? It's like speedway racing at the mile and a half. It was weird.
Scott, I got to tell you, I'm still not a fan of the new cars. Their Gen 6 cars they've got some issues.
What about the track though? What do you think about that?
Maybe if they brought back last year's cars.
Okay, how about the Xfinity or the Truck Series? How was the racing for that?
They were okay.
The track for that.
You know, the Cup cars set a new record for cautions, a new record for lead changes because they had so many cautions.
I thought the racing wasn't too bad.
It wasn't, but
people don't like pack racing. I like pack racing. It's more exciting for me to watch. Racers don't like it, but
well, I mean, they're too wide a lot of the time. And
it's
and
better
then
than watching single file racing.
Well, and they did that too, but
Okay. Next up for the Cup Series will be the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. That's going to be Sunday at 3:30 on Fox. So they're moving to the road course. Probably not going to be a lot of pack racing at that track, although that would be something to see.
oh yeah, too wide going into a hairpin. Yeah.
The Xfinity Series was won by Ty Gibbs. He's really making a name for himself. How much longer till he's in Cup?
He ran well in the Cup race.
Was he in the Cup race?
I thought he was.
I know he's in the Cup race, but
Yeah.
how long until he gets a regular ride in Cup? Because he's been winning everything he's been in. He won the Nally Cars 250 on Saturday for the Xfinity Series. Next up for them is the Pit Boss 250. They're also going to be at Circuit of the Americas. That'll be Saturday, 4:30 on Fox Sports 1. And Corey Heim was the winner on Friday night for the FR8, otherwise known as Freight 208 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And next up for the trucks, they're also going to be at Circuit of the Americas. They're going to be doubleheader on Saturday, as a matter of fact, 1 o'clock on FS1. So it'll be the trucks earlier in the afternoon and then in the evening with the Xfinity Series.
That truck race could be fun to watch.
Could be. Speaking of the truck race, I got some truck news. That
Yes, you do.
If you haven't followed us, if you don't follow our Facebook page, you probably should. There was some breaking news.
You almost need to, folks.
Yeah, there's some good stuff there. I saw that and I was like, no way, that's awesome.
I wonder if we could get that guy back on again.
We probably could. Got to thank Big D's Pizza, Subs, Ribs, Chicken, and More out of Clyde, Ohio. Give them a call, 419-547-1444. Order right now at orderbigdspizza.com. Check out the new steak nuggets, breaded pieces of deep-fried steak with your choice of dipping sauce.
Ooh.
Also, don't forget to contact Freeze Frame Photos for all your racing photo needs. He's going to be out at the track a little over a month. See him a weekly basis out at Oakshade, and he bounces around to other tracks as well. He's got all his pictures with him most of the time. He's got pictures not just from Oakshade, but from other tracks and old photos, classic photos. Check out some of their stuff. You can visit Freeze Frame Photos online. If you search that on Facebook, find them there. Or give Charlie a call, 419-476-9978. And you can set
They
up.
do special events too. It's not just racing.
Yeah, they probably do wedding pictures.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, there you go. Freeze Frame Photos, special moments frozen in time. Ron Miller Race Cars out of Lambertville, Michigan. Give Ron a call, 734-856-7223. That's 856.
Race.
Race cars, parts, safety equipment, service, everything a racer needs. Drive shafts,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. Carter Murday took home $2,000 on Saturday night as the winner of Rusty Schlank's Future of the Sport program at the Chris Howard Memorial Dinner and Auction. Jaden Blykamp, Riley Conley, Oliver Osborne. He's been a winner before. We've had him on. Carter Crawford, Brooks, and Laney White each took home almost $1,000. I thought it was $1,000. Basically, these kids are making more money than I am in sponsorships just by winning this Future of the Sport deal. So Rusty Schlenk definitely dealing out a lot of money there and investing in the future of the sport. Rome Brothers Racing truck hauler tried exiting the infield through one of the car tunnels at Atlanta this weekend.
Came up short.
Yeah, had the top of the hauler damaged. No one was injured. I think didn't that happen last year?
Actually, they didn't come up short. They left short.
Yeah, they weren't short enough was the problem. They were trying to go out the car entrance or exit as opposed to the
And it was about
hauler.
3 feet too short.
Knocked the air conditioner off of their hauler. Oops. Sorry about that. David Odell, jackman for Christopher Bell, was injured during a pit stop after he was hit by Bell's car after hesitating to jump into the pits because Daniel Suarez was coming in right in front of him, who was pitted just in front of Bell. Odell completed the pit stop and then went to the medical center there at Atlanta and received stitches. He sat out the remainder of the race. He is expected to be back in the pits this weekend.
I think it was Kyle Busch's jackman that filled in for him after Busch was unfortunately out of the race.
I read who filled in, but I don't remember. You might be right, though. We'll go with that. Goodyear is investigating the right rear tire failures suffered in the Cup race at Atlanta this past weekend. On 3 separate occasions, the leader of Sunday's race suffered a flat right rear tire. It was kind of weird, wasn't it?
Now, amazingly, none of the Hendrick Chevrolets had that problem. So I've got a hunch that...
You think it was a setup kind of thing?
Yeah. They now can adjust camber on the right rear because it's an independent rear suspension. And I have a hunch that they were a little aggressive on their camber settings on the right rear.
A little too aggressive.
I think that's what Goodyear's going to find, but you didn't hear it here.
That's why he's the professor. Tragedy occurred at Winchester Speedway's season opener, Winchester in Virginia, not the paved one. This is a dirt track. This past weekend, James Richard Billmeyer of Baker, West Virginia, was killed in a crash. Frederick County Sheriff's Office described the crash as a freak accident and that all the required safety equipment had been used, but due to the force of the accident and rollover, the driver did not survive. Billmeyer was competing in the U-Car class, which stands for You Can Afford Racing, front-wheel drive 4-cylinder class.
Right.
Now, sad news there. You mentioned this earlier. We mentioned this a little bit last week. The Freddie Bender Spring Icebreaker Cavalcade that was set for April 9th and 10th at Sandusky Speedway has been canceled. The facility, every area of the facility is saturated and is already very muddy with more rain expected.
And it's going to be more muddier.
Yeah. There's also an electrical issue with the scoring system, and the components needed are expected within the next 4 to 6 weeks. So that's a little bit of an issue since that's only like 2 weeks away. There is a possibility that the UMP late models, Oakshade Superstocks, and Fremont Speedway dirt trucks could be added to the Bev J. Cox Memorial Cavalcade in October. In other news here, the Pure Stock division will now become the North Coast Stock Series. The beginner stock division will no longer have an age restriction. To compete in the beginner stocks, you cannot have any racing experience.
No, this is
Sandusky Speedway.
Okay.
So, and we'll talk to Chris 2 weeks from tonight, Chris Mize from Sandusky Speedway, and get some more information on that. Their opener now, I believe, is like toward the end of April.
Sure.
So, nearly half a century after Bill France Sr. took stock cars to the prestigious 24 Hours of Le Mans, NASCAR and Hendrick Motorsports have announced their intentions to compete in the 2023 twice-around-the-clock endurance event at the special Garage 56 entry. The entry will be a modified version of the next-gen Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 race car and is a collaboration among NASCAR, Hendrick Motorsports, Chevrolet, IMSA, and Goodyear. Bill France first... yeah, we're skipping all that.
Was that be like at the Rolex race or...
24 Hours of Le Mans. Garage
Okay.
56 was introduced in 2012 as a special single-entry class reserved for innovative cars. It allows for testing of new technologies and fosters creativity and innovation without taking away the spot of a car from the traditional starting grid. Among the past Garage 56 entries were the innovative Delta Wing race car.
Okay.
So it's like a separate class kind of thing for... So, no, 24 Hours Le Mans.
All right.
Not, yeah. Justin Grant and Chase Stockton and their non-wing sprint car teams have each been suspended from the next 2 Extreme Outlaw Sprint Series events for tire violations that occurred during the February 14th and 15th events at Volusia Speedway Park. 1 tire was sampled from each team, with the sample being sent to an independent lab. Samples confirmed that both tires in question had been chemically altered. Grant's team has been assessed an additional penalty of, and I don't know how they get this exact dollar amount, but it's $4,620, which includes, I guess it explains how they come up with it. It includes the $2,500 in purse money, a $2,000 fine, and a $120 tire analysis fee. Stockton's team was assessed a monetary penalty of $3,920.
More fine.
Yeah. That's how we get more money.
Must have been more illegal.
Buddy Kofoid.
Yay.
Talked about this a little bit ago. He's expected to run the NASCAR Truck Series event at Bristol on the dirts for Kyle Busch Motorsports in the number 51 truck. Who I believe Corey Heim was driving on Friday. So that's a winning truck.
That's definitely a good ride.
That'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to that.
I am.
That'll be a must-see event. That's when is that race? A couple weeks? Yeah. Before the Superstar Racing Experience race at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway on July 9th, fans will get a chance to vote one of their favorite late model drivers into the seat of an SRX machine to compete against some of the best in motorsports. Fans will get a chance to choose one of 6 talented late model drivers to enter the SRX event. All 6 drivers have a history at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway and are some of the best that the sport has to offer. Voting will start on April 3rd and run through May 6th. The winner will be announced at the Arca Menards East race at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway on May 7th. It doesn't say who those 6 drivers are, though, at least not yet. I'm guessing when the voting starts to announce who they are. The Dryden Extreme Dirt Car Series late model race, originally scheduled for tonight at Lakeview Speedway, has been canceled due to weather. The series is still scheduled to wrap up this weekend, tomorrow and Saturday. That'd be Friday and Saturday at Cherokee Speedway, along with the World of Outlaw late model series.
It'll definitely be warmer there than here.
You think so? Keselowski's number 6 team was found to have made modifications to parts supplied from a NASCAR vendor. NASCAR stated before the season that any modifications to supplied parts on the next-gen cars would result in severe penalties. This L2 level penalty will leave Keselowski, Roush, Fenway, Keselowski docked 100 driver and owner points, as well as 10 playoff bonus points. Ooh. Crew chief Matt McCall has been fined $100,000.
Ouch.
And suspended for the next 4 points-paying races. I hope he gets paid a lot.
Wow.
Does the team pay for that? Does the crew chief actually, does that come out of his pocket?
I don't know.
My pockets aren't that deep. The open wheel.
Yeah. Let that one sink in.
Open wheel opening day USAC Midget special event and 500 Sprint Car Tour doubleheader scheduled on Saturday, March 26th. That's this Saturday at Brownsburg, Indiana's Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park has been postponed to Monday night, August 1st, due to the crappy weather in the Midwest.
That's a long postponement.
Yeah. The new date immediately follows the NASCAR IndyCar weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Ooh.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's it for this week's news. Last week's How Many was how many 305s were going to be at Attica on Friday night. And we had already mentioned that Attica had already canceled, so there was going to be 0. And we told people to guess 0, and still people did not guess 0.
We don't know for sure how many people didn't get the message and might have shown up anyway.
But we did get some people that did enter the correct amount. So we're going to spin the Big D's Pizza wheel as soon as we pull that up here. Because we had a few names here. And we'll determine who's going to win a Big D's Pizza. There we go.
As soon as we get it to stay on screen.
Here we go. We're spinning. Who's it going to be? Wheel of Names is going around. It looks like it's going to be John Deere. There you go. Congratulations, John Deere. You have 30 days to claim your za from Big D's Pizza, large pizza. So 30 days from tonight. So approximately the 24th of April.
End of April.
Yeah. So get to Big D's, claim your pizza, and there you go. Congratulations. So this week's how many 305s are going to be at Attica on Friday night.
What?
But that's going to be 0 again. So, and
We can't do that twice.
no, we're not going to.
Oh, good.
So I came up with a non-racing thing.
Really?
Yeah. We're going to do some hockey this weekend.
Hey?
Tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. Are you Canadian all of a sudden? So this week's how many is going to be, and see, I even hand wrote it because it was such a late edition. See, there's some handwriting somewhere on there.
There it is.
Yeah, I know.
It's hard to read.
Yeah. How many goals will the Walleye score, the Toledo Walleye, in their game tomorrow night, Friday night? That'd be the 25th of March. You have until 7 o'clock Friday night to guess. All you have to do is put your guess in the comments of our Facebook Live or our YouTube Live. And John Deere's asking if Big D's delivers. Yes, they do deliver if you're close to Clyde. But anyways, to get in on the how many goals will the Walleye score, just put your guess, just put a number in the comments of our Facebook Live or YouTube Live up until 7 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night. Who are they playing? Allen. The Allen, whatever the Allen team is, I forget. I looked it up, and Allen, damn, I can't remember now. Allen. They're playing Allen. So there you go. At the Huntington Center. It is a home game, so I don't know if that makes a difference. 4 seems to be a pretty consistent guess for the goals. Yeah. Ron, would you like to take a shot first?
Do I need to?
No, you don't.
Oh, okay. No, I'm going with 5.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to bring their A game.
They are going to make the playoffs. So, and I was going to say 3, but since you say 5, I'm going with 4.
Of course you are, Scott.
Because if they score 4, then we would be tied, and we can't have that. That would be some craziness. So again, get your guess in. Allen Americans. Thank you, Brian. That's who they're playing.
Okay.
I knew it was an A. A. This weekend's Big D's Pizza racing menu tomorrow night was going to be the rescheduled Attica Raceway Park opener, but the underground utilities and construction equipment and supply night has been canceled, plus the rain date on Saturday. So they're totally wiping out this weekend's action because it's just going to be cold and it's supposed to snow on Saturday.
It's going to be crappy.
Yeah. Nobody wants to go on that. So this is now not fooling, no April Fools, but April 1st. That is going to be hopefully the Attica opener now. It's going to be the Craig Miller Trucking Night with 410 sprints, UMP late models, 305 sprints, gates open at 5, racing at 7:45. Again, that's a week from tomorrow.
And April 2nd is not the rain date.
Correct. April 2nd is not, because there's some action going on at Waynesfield Motorsports Park. 410 wing sprints, NRA 360 sprints, the USAC Thunder Midgets, and the recently added UMP Modifieds will be in action. And speaking of which, next week on the show, we're going to be talking to Shane Helms. I talked to him earlier today, made sure he's available.
Now, the USAC Thunder Midgets, is there a chance that Buddy Kofoid will be there?
I suppose there's a chance for anything. So, but yeah, I don't see why not.
I
haven't heard anything in saying that, yes, he's going to be there, but I also haven't heard anything that said, no, he's not.
That would be a huge draw in this area.
Yeah, well, any racing in this area to get going would be a huge draw. So, again, that's Saturday, April 2nd. And, again, next Thursday on the show, Shane Helms, the promoter of Waynesfield, will join us, talk about the shows he's got scheduled at Waynesfield this year. It's a driver's favorite from a lot of the drivers we talk to.
Everybody seems to like it.
Yeah. And then 2 weeks from tonight, Chris, this is for you. 2 weeks from tonight, Chris Mize from Sandusky Speedway will join us. That will be, I think it's April 7th.
That could be a long show.
Could be, yeah. This one turned into a pretty long show. AJ Nylander, definitely interesting guy to talk to. I enjoyed
told
that.
you it'd be a good show.
Yeah, he's easy to interview. I like interviewees that don't just give the no, I don't know. Those kind of suck, but
that was my very first radio show.
Thanks to associate producer Dave Kemmer, contributors Matt Swander, John Young, Doug Dock, and Bob Stazek. Again next week, 7 o'clock, Thursday night, March 31st, right? Yeah. Last day. Last day of March. Shane Helms will be on. We'll be doing the Waynesfield preview. And, we'll be back at you. Live, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Make sure to follow us on Facebook or like us on Facebook. You can follow and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Hammer Report. Follow us on YouTube. You can also listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Check out HammerdownRacingReport.com. Join our Hammer Down Army for exclusive deals. Haven't sent any out yet, but got to talk to our sponsors, see if we can get
there will be some really cool ones.
Yeah, maybe Ron Miller will have a special coupon or something in there. But you can only get on that if you go to HammerdownRacingReport.com. And don't forget to rate and review us, too. I guess that helps us. That's what I've read about podcast stuff. You give ratings.
We need to be rated. X-rated.
Rated NC-17. Thanks again to our sponsors, Oakshade Raceway, Big D's Pizza, Ron Miller Race Cars, Freeze Frame Frodo's, Dominator Race, but my coffee's wearing off. Dominator Race Products, Headhunters, Barber, Studio, and Salon. We appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Hammer Down Racing Report, available on demand on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting platform.